Welcome to the One Social Live podcast. I'm Julian, and today I'm with Kaleb. And just a quick introduction. We will talk about networking, socializing, how to create meaningful connections for digital nomads while traveling or frequent traveler, which are on the go. And today I have a very special person with me, which is a sales expert, has a lot of experience in opening businesses, working in businesses, and a sales expert, sales consultant.
Yeah.
He knows everything about sales. I hardly met anybody with this experience, so I'm very happy that he is with us.
Not that cool, but I stay out of trouble.
Kaleb, and maybe can you make a quick introduction about yourself?
So 10,000 foot overview on myself. My name's Kaleb. I've been working in the remote internet digital sales space, like high ticket coaching, consulting, digital services, even physical products for around 6 years now, going into 7. I spent the vast majority of that just working as a salesperson and a high ticket closer, doing every position. And I've now graduated into what is called consulting, where I partner with businesses and do the full sales enablement. That's the management, funnels, ads, everything through and through to a T, and helping clients. I have my own clients. And I also have my own educational program where I show salespeople how to do it. We have a mutual friend that is he's not in it. He's kind of an honorary member of it. So. But he uses the processes himself. So.
Yeah, that's where the connections come in. When we talk about networking, making contacts, we were connected by a mutual friend. Mm-hmm. So that's already like the first big proof why people should go out, network with people, and then make connections on the go. Because we are in Medellín, Colombia.
Yeah.
Maybe how long are you here for? Since when did you get here?
Oh, gotta be 16, 17 months now. So Medellin was never actually something I thought that I would live in. I'd come for a week. I had a friend who was from Europe, and he had come to the States and his visa had expired, and so he came to Medellin for a week, and he said, "Oh, you should come, I was dying to meet him because we've been really good friends for a while." And Medellin was the closest place that he could be. It's like you see me there, you visit me way off in Europe. And so I figured, I'll do a week. And so that was a bit of an orchestration. I have my cat, and I brought him here with me, but I had to find a cat sitter. So I enlisted one of my friends to stay at my apartment for a week and watch my cat. And I came down and fell in love with the city, and a couple of Latinas too, and things haven't been the same since.
Yeah, so but okay, like falling in love in the city, Latina. So that's the main reason why you're spending here. Why didn't you think about leaving then?
Yeah, so I mean, I remember when I first came here, the first thing that stuck out to me was just obviously how far the dollar goes, because the exchange rate, for people that don't know, it's like a 40% cost of like living here compared to the States. So imagine getting everything at a 60% discount. It's felt like I was in paradise. And so being able to come here and just, go to clubs, go to nice restaurants, not have to think about it. Uber's dirt cheap. I spend less. Me and 3 people share an Uber account, and the bill for that each month is like $400-$500. And that was less than just the gas and insurance on my car that I had in the States. So for context, just how far it can go. Why am I here in Medellin? Well, that was the first one, is I felt like it was a really good opportunity of just being able to save more and be able to keep my earnings the same. And then, sure enough, there's a lot of opportunity here. Like, I think one of the big things that, I know that you're really well known for is just the status and social circles and networking. And so when you come to a place like this, just your status immediately rises because, you have more resources, you can do more provisioning. And then lo and behold, there's so many other gems in the city. And then once more people that you'll meet too that make you want to stay here. So yeah.
And did you travel also around South America so far? Did you also check out other cities? And then you always came back and say, okay, like that's my place to be for the moment.
Yeah. So for me, no, actually, I didn't do a tour through South America. I probably should. I've been to Panama. And that's it. Panama and Colombia.
For the views, just to go out and get in again.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, he gets it. You got to do a visa run from time to time because your time might expire. So that's what I did. Little 3-day visa run to Panama. Came back but no, I've not even been outside of Medellin, like not to Bogota or the other parts of the city. But funny enough, I don't actually like traveling that much. I'm very process and like routine driven, and so the whole being up and going to other places. But I especially hate TSA and airport security. I guess Latin America is not a problem if you want to go around. Airport security here is really a joke compared to the States.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit easier, but it can take a long time. It depends on the country and at what airport you go. Like for example, Medellin, they are very famous for taking a lot of time to make
a
the
good
immigration for foreigners. But if you are in the, let's say, South American system, basically I think it should be pretty fast.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. What you lack in TSA, you make up for in waiting in an immigration line, person to person to person to person to person, all the stuff that goes into that. Yeah, I think there is that whole biomig thing. There was one time it was really badly backed up, and they just told me to go to a thing, and I just looked at it, and then it let me in because I have a visa. So, but yeah, that is an element
different.
Yeah.
I always say to a lot of people, especially coming from the US or coming first time into Colombia, is to not fly to Medellin directly if they come here. First fly to Bogota and then take a flight to Medellin, because Bogota immigration is so fast.
Is it actually?
Yeah, you need probably 15 to 20 minutes.
Oh, wow.
It's super fast.
Oh, because that would be a domestic flight, so they wouldn't even channel you out if you came
exactly.
off the plane.
You just make the immigration in Bogota.
Yeah.
And then from Bogota, you just take a domestic flight from Medellin, which is probably 45 minutes.
Yep.
And that's it.
Pro tip for you, travel hack.
So when you come to Colombia,
go to Bogota before you come
go to Bogota first, and
Bogota
I don't know, maybe if you want, you can take a night in Bogota.
Yeah, there's fun stuff to do in Bogota, so I've heard. It also makes you appreciate Medellin more because Medellin, obviously, I think is the better city, but that's just my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's deep a little bit in more in your personal background a little bit, that people get to know you. So you are born in the US. Your family, everybody's from the US, or what's like your little bit background when you grew up?
Yeah, so I wasn't actually born in the States. I was actually born in Ethiopia, and I was adopted by the family that I have now when I was 2, so I know nothing about Ethiopia and the life and culture there. Whole family of mine is in Massachusetts, so on the East Coast. Grew up in the East Coast for vast majority of my life, and then did a year, left Massachusetts for Austin, just really wanted to change the scenery, so went about as far south as I could, and Austin's a beautiful city. Have you ever been?
No, not to Austin yet. I mean, I was driving through Texas once, like in one day, from complete Texas.
Yeah.
No, but I haven't been to Austin.
Yeah,
that should be cool.
If you've done the drive through Texas, obviously you know how, for people that don't understand how flat the states are, especially if you're Colombian or from South America. Yeah, I remember I drove to Texas. I drove to Austin, did a road trip from Massachusetts. And I remember I did 100 miles an hour for an hour straight in just a straight line from Dallas all the way down to Austin. And I just one finger on the finger wheel pretty much. And it's just flat as far as the eye can see. So that was really an interesting experience. But yeah, year in Austin. Austin's a phenomenal city. Like, talk about networking. Austin's definitely on the rise right now. I think it's one of the fastest growing cities in the States.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, and I also think Austin's a really well built city. Like, Medellin is not a place. I mean, I've driven here in Medellin, but it's not a place that I would actively want to own a car. And when you
American
drive,
drivers.
Yeah.
They're all like rally drivers or whatever, I guess.
Oh yeah. And I mean, for anyone who's like I don't know what it's like in Europe, but if you're in the States, you don't have motorcycles like you do here. That's a big thing. Like, here is motorcycles everywhere, weaving through traffic. Yeah.
That's typical South American. I mean, I'm Brazilian, and I mean, I think Brazil it's even crazier than here, especially in the bigger city. Motorcycle, cars everywhere. Not really respecting rules. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, here you've got Rappi Turbo, which is the Uber Eats, and you see the guys with the little 10-minute bag. There's a Rappi Turbo 10 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. They need to do it.
Yeah, they just blow through everything. If you ever see somebody on a motorcycle with one of those big food delivery backpacks, just cutting through traffic, ripping through everything, they got the little 10-minute thing they got to get you stuff to. So.
And then what brought you more, let's say, in a professional way? What brought you into sales? I know you kind of tried different businesses before, SMA, drop shipping.
Yep.
You made a lot of experience this way, but how did you kind of figuring out to go more into sales and let the other things kind of behind?
Yeah, I mean, sales was just because I was bad at everything else. And so,
I mean, that's
if
you're good in sales, then
it's like I think the challenge that I ran into is I tried all these businesses, and I even experience this now. I'm really blessed to have the experience that I have, because when I work with a client, there's so many things that I need to be good at and do, but because there's less skills I have to develop, it's easier for me to learn new ones. So for example, like, the first business that I ever did was drop shipping. To be good at e-commerce, it's like, it's not just about a product, but it's like the product, the page, the marketing, the media buying, the fulfillment. And then if you want to scale, put all of that stuff on steroids. And so that's like it's like playing a video game with all of your stats at like level 0. But instead I was like, well, what's one stat that I can work on that if I work on that will like allow me to make money? And that's what led me to get to sales, because it was like, it's the best selling product, the best selling book is a quote from Robert Kiyosaki. And so I was like, if I can figure out this whole sales and whatever the heck that means, then I think that will take me somewhere. And sure enough, it did. It brought me here. So
yeah. And did you have, let's say, any mentor on the way, or anybody that particularly stood out in your journey, let's say from the transition of being a, let's say, a business owner doing drop shipping and going into sales, and then also realizing, okay, I will start a business in sales?
So my actual first like sales mentor is here in Medellín, Colombia.
Oh, that's cool.
Not. Yeah, he wasn't here when I found him originally. He was actually talking about Medellín way back when, but I was he's a bit older than me, so my maturity at the time was not where his was at, so I didn't understand that. Unfortunately, I haven't met him. We had kind of a falling out towards the end of our mentorship or apprentice phase together. And so he's here somewhere. For those of you guys who know, you know. But for that, he was my mentor for sales. Transitioning into business was more, I had many sales mentors, I would say. He was the one that got me into it. And then kind of like a gray area, like I developed enough skill that I could kind of navigate the playing field myself. I got a really good understanding of stuff through definitely a lot of programs that I went through. I cannot begin to emphasize how many programs I've gone through to learn the stuff that I've learned. And then in more recent times, I do have a mentor. I don't really like calling him a mentor. He's a really close friend and a colleague, but I guess I do pay him every month though for his time. So in effect, he is a mentor. I'm actually, this Friday, I'm going to Vegas to go to one of his events, but this guy is some prolific internet marketer. Like he's the kind of person that you hear about the numbers he's doing and you're like, wow, talking about 300 to 500,000 a day in sales for some of his stuff, sometimes $1 million days. He's got another business that's $1 million a month net. And so he's someone that I look to and follow really closely. And anytime I feel advice or I need advice or I'm stuck, then he gives me really good direction. I would say what's interesting though about having a mentor is that
that's a good point to go into.
What's interesting about having he's not my industry, so the utility that he has is very mixed. What he has is the perspective and the principles of how to think and make decisions as someone who's in that position. That is really helpful. So like for me, I don't always necessarily need the tactics. I can find tactics different places, but more what I use the mentor for is understanding how he sees, approaches, and solves problems to make sure that I'm thinking and seeing, approaching things the same way. Because, it's like if we want to build a house, I can have my way of building it that might look really great on paper, but that doesn't mean that when you build it, it stands. And so he might have his way of building it, not because the materials are different, but just the different logic he uses. And so when he builds a house, it stands. I use that for solving most of my problems.
And is it also to kind of find a certain shortcut, of course? Like if you decide to invest into a mentor, you kind of expect, okay, I don't want to figure out everything by myself. I want somebody who has the experience, who can lead me or guide me the right way in order to get faster to my goal that I want to achieve. Yeah.
A big thing is just sanity checking. I'd say, like, am I crazy for thinking this? And a lot of times is no, your thinking is correct or you're incorrect for these reasons. But it's very, there's, as you kind of find with networking, like, obviously you've got it cracked and mastered. There's very few people that are good at the thing. Like, I'd go out with Julian. It could take you in any social environment. Wouldn't have to worry about you being awkward or a Luddite. That's the same thing. That's why I'm really good friends with our mutual connection, because he's someone that if like, hey man, I need a +1 for a wedding. He just knows how to show up and not be awkward and play the part perfectly. So it's hard to find people that have that skill to be able to get you through things. I forgot the first point that I was trying to make with that, but
we also talked a little bit about accountability, I guess, to having somebody who maybe pushes you to something maybe you need to then step out of your comfort zone. If you open a business and everything you do new, you kind of step out of your comfort zone. Is it about networking? Is it about getting to know people? You always need to step out of your comfort zone in order to make something happen, but that's like a similar way of doing it. When you decide to work with a mentor, when you decide to go into a new field, what do you think about that?
Actually, comfort zone is a really fascinating concept because accountability, I have like my co-founder that works in my business with me, and he's probably my greatest source of accountability. But I find that I think I'm very just self-driven, and when you own a business, if you're not making money, you're not getting what you want, it's entirely your fault. And
Yeah,
so
exactly.
that naturally lights a fire in you to want to just get shit done. So that's where I don't think about accountability probably in the same way the typical person does, because to not succeed has consequences, and there's an out. There's no out. There's no floor to what I do. So, but if I was working in a job or more structured position, yeah, if there's deadlines that need to be hit because someone else is, if you're in that bubble, I think it's really easy to be a lot less accountable. So that's one thing where, and I also find too, I think I'm very contrarian in it, but I don't make like a really specific point to, I guess I do set goals and things of that nature, but I don't make it a very specific point to like really force myself to do anything. My passion and interest will usually get me into the state and accountability I need to get things done. Like if my calendar fills up and I've got shit that I need to do that I attend, I have no problem making it happen. If I have dead space and just can kind of lounge around and be lazy, then I'll lounge around and be lazy, as opposed to not enjoying that time off and then, not getting into the state when I need to. So it's something very kind of counterintuitive compared to how I used to think.
Yeah,
but,
yeah. I mean, a lot of people, they speak a lot in theory, right? And then the implementation part.
Yeah.
It's like, I think there's a big lack of knowing something and then actually doing it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I think at some point it's natural, of course. But if you realize you kind of need to do certain steps and you do it, even if it takes maybe a little bit longer, but if you have in mind, okay, I do it constantly, then you always move forward. But if you're just kind of guy, okay, I consume, I know the theory, but not taking into action or not getting to do things, that's then problematic.
Yeah, consumption is the biggest destroyer of action. Like information overwhelm. Even I have it a lot of times. Like I made a video today for my team where I was talking about, I've got a funnel that I'm running right now for my business that I haven't necessarily cracked or gotten the numbers that I'm looking for. And so when you're trying to use your intuition to solve a problem that's very open-ended, the more data and information you have, the harder it gets. I find that actually the less that you consume and the more certain you are in those things that you consume, the further that you get. That's probably that's a large reason why for the mentor is just like, what should I be looking at? I believe I should be looking at this and this. Am I correct? And he's like, actually, no, it should be this. And then from there, that one little 5-10% shift makes all the difference. It's not really about knowing everything, but it's about knowing the few things that you should know really well. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go a little bit more about networking. The networking part, let's say first talk about the business side. How did networking, especially when you came here, kind of help you to grow your business, to make more contacts? Can you talk a little bit about your experience regarding this, getting to know different people in different places?
It's actually funny. I would say I'm a pretty terrible networker. I'm charismatic and I'm good at sales, so I get along well with people. But I think that I have a very transactional mindset a lot of the time. That's what sales definitely, I'm not going to say all of sales, but sales definitely bred that into me a lot more, which is like, this conversation, there's a really clear give and take, and there's a certain power dynamic of who's vested and who's not. And I'm a very sharp observer for keeping score of am I getting back what I'm putting in? Is this is this reciprocal? Can I give value? I know that networking works well with the concept of just giving a lot of value, but I think I'm so intent driven that I think the way people think the way I do, and so it sort of sets me back. But my co-founder is phenomenal networker. So I would say he's kind of been the one that's by tandem, I have access to his network, and that's brought me a lot of the opportunities that I have. But once more, I think his incentive is a bit different because he works in a bit of a different world and he's got a floor to the things that he does and operates in. And so it's easier for, I think, him to give without as much of a transactional mindset. But his temperament and personality is very different too. He kind of family, very, very giving first kind of person. Not that I don't give, but I definitely am more of isolate. If I'm an extrovert, I like to be out, but if I have my pick, it's I just kind of want to be by myself doing my thing. That's
okay.
I don't love travel. The same reason why I don't love doing traveling and all that is just kind of want to sit by myself, whether it's to my betterment or to my detriment. I would say networking is really crucial. I think at a certain scale, you have to actually have something worth talking about and skills and things and a value that other people would want. That's for our mutual connect, for example, right?
Yeah.
It's we only became connected because I knew things he didn't and could offer insight and perspective that he didn't have, but also vice versa from him to me. I've used him as a resource for plenty of things, not business related things, but plenty of things.
Yeah, we come to that. Yeah, well, but I think at least because if you have, like, let's say your co-founder, you connected at some point with your co-founder, of course. Otherwise, you wouldn't work together. So
Yeah.
you already established like a network, and that's also the sense, meeting the right people in order to, I mean, provide value and then connect from them to different networks.
Yep.
Like you said, if you have like a greater network due to him, it's because you network in the first place with him,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
then you kind of spread out the your network and then into his network too.
Yeah, I think, no, that's a really good point. I would say my strategy to it is career focused, not like necessarily in just, I'm trying to better my career, like in the LinkedIn kind of, jargon sense, but my network has come by staying in a specific industry and doing a specific kind of work and being known for being good at that. And then naturally I'll meet the other players. And that becomes really powerful, because if you're known for something and your competitors know what your point of difference is, then you have some sort of status in that hierarchy that is that space in the field. I think a good way to like kill your ability to network is don't enter those circles where you have any competence, where it's like, okay, so I'm known for high ticket remote sales and all of this stuff. If I go to a new city, I want to meet the closers that are there, the business owners that are similar to that space and industry, because I actually know how to talk and interface with them. We have something in common. If I were to go to, like trucking or like metal fabrication, I couldn't show up to those things. I mean, I could. There's some like overlapping value, but I'm still very much an outsider. So I think it's, try to stay in a small, like have a certain set of skills that you continue to develop and know other people that have those skills, and you get connected with them, and then by extension you get to meet their networks. That's like my co-founder. How did I meet him originally? Well, I taught him sales, and through teaching him sales, because that's a skill he needed, he also knew people that needed to know sales and needed sales help, and so that's how that kind of branched out.
And if we talk about here in Medellín, what exactly did you do to then also connect with people locally? How did you meet them, or where did you meet them? Like when you go out, or when you or did you go to any meetups? Did you go to co-working spaces?
Yep.
Or I mean, it's especially for people that are coming new here. Also, what would you recommend people do? First of all, maybe what did you do, and what would you recommend to others?
Yeah, what did I do? I mean, I'd say probably liken it to online dating, where I knew everybody online first. And so when I came here, it was just like, you want to meet? I haven't seen you in person before. And so I knew plenty of sales guys that were already here. And so that was kind of a good foray in. And then the other way was, it was honestly by meeting the 2-3 people that I knew were here. By connection, I got extended out. Like one of my customers for one of my products is here, and so immediately I wanted to meet him because he was a customer, and so I don't mind meeting my customers. And then he happened to know other salespeople or other people, and so I met them by extension. He had roommates, and then that's how it spreads out. So it's very similar to like his career. Like I knew him because of just my career and my work, and then he knew other people. So it's having close bonds to those people that you do have. So that was most of what I did. Same thing with our mutual connect. He had found his way booked onto my calendar through my funnel. And then, just off of that, once more, he's not a customer. He's kind of like a quasi customer to some extent, honorary customer, I'd say. But by extension, I got to meet the people that he knew because I had a close bond with him. But what would I recommend? Well, it depends. If you already have online work and that kind of career, like join communities and just say this is what you do and ask if there's other people that do it, and then meet with them, because having that shared common ground around something is helpful.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's very different in all other parallels, right? You think about dating, you don't really need a common ground. It's based off of attraction, things like that. But having a shared common ground with people that do similar work and asking them like, what tools are you using? Just meet with them over Zoom and then maybe line up for a coffee. So that's what I'd recommend. And then the other one is ask people about the group chats. I don't know, in the States, WhatsApp chats are not a thing because nobody in the US uses WhatsApp.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. Yeah. That's not an American thing somehow. It always surprises me. Yeah. When I go to the States, like WhatsApp nobody really using WhatsApp.
Non-existent. It's all iMessage. Yeah. My co-founder was from Europe, and I remember telling him, bro, get off WhatsApp, use iMessage, because I was in the States. So sure enough, he started using iMessage more. Lo and behold, I don't use iMessage at all. I literally only use WhatsApp now for everything. To my betterment and my detriment, I would say.
So there are WhatsApp groups usually. There are also some still communities on Facebook. Of course, there are certain meetups you can go to. I mean, here, especially in Medellín, you have language exchanges also.
Yep. I've not gone to those, but I almost did. Yeah.
I think it's kind of good to get the start rolling, especially if you are very new and just want to talk to people.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you don't exactly meet the people you want to network with at the beginning, but it's kind of get to know a first step to get to know the city and the people, just like on a general level.
I think a good hack too is do some exploring yourself and find places that you like that you'd want to be like a regular at, and then when you meet one of those people, bring them there, and you can kind of provide the experience of that place. So that's like with our mutual connect, that rooftop that we like to go to, Enso.
Yeah.
I love that place personally.
Famous Enso.
Enso. Yeah, that's my favorite rooftop in all the city here.
But only the strong hookah.
Yeah. That's like 90% of the
Strong
reason
one.
why. It used to be stronger though. Under the new management that they have, it's not as good as it was. But I had that place that I loved. And so like if I'm gonna meet somebody, I'm like, come to Enso, because I'm going there and I'm going to naturally be happy because I'm there and I can recommend things that I like and share things that I enjoy with somebody else. And I think like I've actually done my own event here, and it's really easy to undermine. Like if you think about networking, you kind of want to be brought into an experience that's good. It's always a little bit uncomfortable hosting one and running one, especially if you've never done it before. But you can only do that if you have something that you genuinely like and enjoy, and just invite people to participate. And then like I loved Enso, so brought our mutual connect to Enso, and then sure enough, we were able to go to Enso, and so then that just kind of becomes a thing. And so it's like, if I plan something, I plan it here, and then if somebody else plans something, they'll plan it at a place that they like, and then it's easy to bring people into those. But I think it takes the tension off of the dynamic, because you can actually just relax and enjoy yourself. If I go to a new restaurant with somebody I don't know.
So it's a familiarity of the place you're going to regularly. You might be already to know some staff people, maybe
staff at Enso know me.
Name.
Moment I come in, I don't even have to place my order. Exactly. They know, bring me the fruit or the fruto rojos and fruto exoticos.
I mean, that's pretty powerful. Do you know what is called this effect?
No, I don't know.
It's called the mere exposure effect.
Mere exposure.
Did you heard about that?
No.
So mere exposure, how it works is you like exactly what you do. You go to search a place like you like. I mean, it can be coffee shop, restaurant, or hookah lounge, or whatever it is, and you just keep going to these places, like for example every day or twice a week, 3 per week, and the people just suddenly will get to know you, even if you don't talk to them. You are a familiar face. And that's the effect. Like unconsciously, they think, oh, I know this guy. Even if they don't talk. The same with the gym. If you go 3 months to the same gym, you always see the same people. And you can experiment. If you don't talk for a month with the people, and after 6 weeks you just say hello, people sometimes they just will treat you as your best friend, because they think they know you, because they see you like literally every day.
You're not a stranger.
And that's the same if you go to these venues. The people know you. You build up social status with the staff. They know you. You know their name. They know what you like. So that's called the mere exposure effect, and that's very powerful. Like you said, if you then bring other people to this venue, so you are going there, you already have status. The waiter says hello to you. This already plays like a big picture on the other person. Whoa, this guy is known here, right? So this immediately gives you a higher social status, only because you know the people and you're going there regularly.
Right. Yeah, that subtle, better treatment that you get rubs off on other people. I think it's really easy to neglect still how primal we are as humans. We've got all this stuff now, but it's like if I go into a place and they know me and they have the table set up and they already know my order and all that, it's just like, oh, this guy kind of fits in here. They enter your world, right? And that's kind of a feeling that provides. So, but yeah.
And that's what I was advised, especially if you're going to a new city. I mean, you can also do it if you just want to meet new place and then you keep liking. Just keep going there, build up mere exposure. That's how it's called. And then you can always use this place for to elevate your status. And you just feel great. You feel familiar with the place. You feel comfortable. I think that's. That's a very, very good point. And that's very easy to do when you are into a new place. Just do a little bit research online. Okay, these are the fancy places. I like coffee, or I like this, I like that. And just try out 2 places, and then you probably stick to one. If it's near to your place, even better. And also it gives you a lot of, also when you take, for example, a date, then it also helps you a lot with then showing status to your date.
To already know the menu. It's actually fascinating when you talk about it. I think for anybody watching this that's not done anything like this, or you hear these concepts, and I've heard these concepts before and it sounds really woo-woo, or it sounds like, oh, that doesn't play out like that. It really does. it's not something you really have to force. I think it works if you don't force it. Like actually find something that you like. Like there's a pastry shop here or a bakery called Cambria that I love, and so they have an apple pie that I love, and so like anytime it's an inside joke that I can have with people immediately. It's like, oh yeah, where is he going for? Cambria. So like of course. Same thing with Enso. It's like, oh, where does he probably go to? Enso. And so those little subtle things, but also for yourself experientially, you can just relax and like really enjoy it. If you bring somebody and like the date blows or they're not as cool, like you can still kind of enjoy yourself because you're still getting what you want. There's a value exchange. And then also if you can provide if you're happy and relaxed in an environment, you make it fun. It's like a party. It's like if the party's fun, everyone's having fun. If it's not, no one is. But who's determining that? Well, the host. And so if you just bring them to some place that you're familiar with. And then the status on dates. I remember I did an event, my first event here, and I'd gone to a hookah lounge that I'd gone to pretty frequently. And I remember when I arrived, the guy was like, oh, you already knew my name and already kind of knew what I wanted. And the first thing is like, damn, they seem to kind of know you here. And it's like, yeah, I've been here just a couple times. And so that immediately, kind of rises it up. It plays into the subtle. It's like death by 1,000 cuts or status by 1,000 impressions.
And also, if you're on a date, then it also reflects to the girl in this case. She also will feel more comfortable because you are comfortable. You feel great. You have the energy. You don't need to worry about or do I know this place? Should I go with her to this place or not? You already know everything about this place, so you feel more ease on your side, which then reflects on the other person too to feel the same way. And especially girls, like they feel a lot more than we do.
1,000%. And I think too, if they know that the staff likes you and you're valued, that also just brings a level of comfort that is like, if anything bad happens, like you're protected. Because it's like, okay, well, let's keep the regular safe, the guy who's here. All these new people, like they can kind of come, they can go. Just know the menu for a place and to know what's good and just like be able to recommend this, recommend that, or tell the staff or have jokes. Once more, it's bringing somebody into a world as opposed to creating something. And, I know how to do that. Like I'm charismatic enough that I know how to make experience and make a moment. If you also, depending on how strategic you are, if you're trying to, if you got a game plan of what you're trying to get out of a night, to know that, okay, this is this place that I know and the benefits of that place and how I can use that strategically. Like I've had that once where I've had dates that you go to maybe 2-3 places, but I know the pros and cons of each. Like one's more formal, you're not going to be close. The other one's just like couches everywhere. You can kick back on a pillow and just like relax. And then, before you, make a final move, maybe back to your place, you've already got, just the familiarity from that. And to take somebody through something like that too, it builds up your status to be able to provide like once more a bigger and a better experience or multiple experiences. It's just like, oh, wow. It's very emotionally compelling. But also, only people that know their stuff would be able to provide that. It shows that, okay, this guy's got it going on. He knows his environment.
I think it's also a part then of your lifestyle and kind of going out and going to these places and not, like working 10 hours or more a day.
Yeah.
And then maybe going to the gym or not, or even ordering some food and not getting out. So it's your lifestyle. I mean, you walk a lot. So are you trying to have a lifestyle not only focused on work, of course, you want to be successful, but also having like the social component. How do you kind of juggle these two fields?
Phenomenal questions. I would say like one. Anybody that says they're a hard worker might not be that hard of a worker, but like
maybe
to toot my own horn. Yeah, I work maniacally. Like I don't mind. Sometimes I'll do up until 2 a.m. with some of my clients. I think my work is a mix of creative and really focused stuff. So the creative stuff will move a bit slower, but it will lax through the day. The more focused stuff is very like meeting to meeting, high intent. But Monday through Friday, I used to be very, very rigid with it. December was the first time I kind of loosened up. But it's like Monday through Friday, I'll only do work. And if I'm going to line up dates, I'll kind of do it. Another big thing for Medellín, master the art of last minute planning. That is one thing I had to develop here that when I first came from the States, that ripped me to pieces.
Really?
Yeah, there's no...
How so?
at least for how I dated in Medellín, there was no planning a date 3-4 days in advance. Anytime I did that, it would backfire. Like I remember I had like a bunch of like... I'd double book myself like for the days that I was going to go out because I would do it 2-3 days in advance. The culture here in Colombia, like what is one product you can't buy here that's commonly sold in the United States? A bedside alarm clock. And so that's just so telling to the culture of how like unpunctual sometimes people are for everything. So I mastered the art of last minute planning, which is just if you have someone that's like high interest, high intent, it's day of, anything exciting planned for that night. And then if they don't go through that night, just book it for the next day. And that's about as far as I'll go. Same day, next day for everything. Very, very sparsely have I ever been able to do more than 2-3 days in advance. And that killed me. As an American, you're so used to, we'll do Tuesday at this
Yeah, it's
time
more
or Thursday.
reliable. The culture is like very, very different.
Yeah,
Man, sending Ubers helps
yeah,
in this case.
yeah. That's another thing too. Yeah, Uber for literally everything. Yeah, that is kind of nice though.
Yeah.
I kind of like the whole of the sending of an Uber. Like, yeah, that's another thing I'd say if anyone's curious. Like, if you do have a date, send them an Uber, bring them to you, because
Yeah.
that's gonna at least of all the obscurity around time, you'll at least have one thing that you can like. Okay,
Yeah, you can track
You
can
can
track
track.
them down.
you leave it to them to find their
More or
way
less.
to you. Like, forget it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't know if you're gonna have a date or not. So.
Yeah. And how would you say like your lifestyle, or well, would you say that your lifestyle impacted your dating life here, like your working lifestyle and then your social lifestyle?
I'd say vice versa. My dating
Yeah.
impacts my work more than anything else.
Okay.
Once you come into having a lot of options in your status, like 2x's or 10x's compared to the average person. Now it depends. Like, I would say my taste of what I used to be attracted to has gone up a lot since coming here.
Yeah.
Just because when you have more abundance, you become more selective.
Yeah,
It's like if
yeah.
you only eat at nice restaurants, what's good food for you gets raised, and so what's good for somebody is like mid for you, and what's
Yeah,
elite for
that's true.
somebody else is like, better.
Yeah.
So I've kind of fallen into that trap, I would say. It's like my taste has become so far. But when I first came here, oh man, was I just hungry. Like anything and everything went. Not everything, but a lot of stuff would go. And so, yeah, I just got so focused in that and the coordinating and the planning and trying to do the whole 3-day thing. But
Yeah.
once I kind of really relaxed in the idea of same day, next day, I think it's a really good way of doing it. But it also, I think it builds to your status just having that, depending on what you want your frame to be, to just be sporadic of the moment. It's
yeah.
like, hey, what are you doing tonight? Or if they're texting you, what are you doing right now? It's like, oh, I'm
Yeah,
free.
yeah.
That kind of plays to maybe a better image or perception than like, okay, how does next Thursday work at this
Yeah.
time? And then they're counting down the days, and then because they have more time to think about it too. I
Yeah,
think is another
exactly.
thing.
That's one.
If you
one
plan
good
it in
point.
advance, now you have other things that can compete
Yeah.
for that time slot, and you could be out competed for whatever reason because they're thinking about it like that. But if it's in the moment, they have to make a decision then and there. Then there's nothing that can compete with it. You
Yeah,
win.
yeah. And if you like take like a little bit one step back,
Mhm.
especially let's say for let's say digital nomads or people that are traveling that are new and maybe also not that much experience with girls, like the first step, how would you actually meet these girls? I mean, Colombia, everybody say it's kind of easy, but it's still like a challenge,
Yeah.
right? Especially
Yeah.
for people that are not used
Yeah.
to step into the, let's say, into the game or however you want
Yeah.
to call it. How would you go like to the first step of meeting someone? I mean, we know about Instagram, we know,
Yeah.
but also natural when you go out. So what's your
Yeah.
experience
I-
in that?
I think like if we look at it from I like a business lens for it. Like the barrier to entry to compete in the Medellín dating market is just so much lower than the States. In the States, the barrier to entry, at least from my perspective, is a lot higher. There's a certain
Yeah.
level of setup, money, status, image that you need to have to even qualify for anything good. Like obviously you can go for bottom of the barrel, but it doesn't excite me. I can't like I'd rather stay at home. For here, the barrier to entry is way lower. But there's still like an upper elite, I would say, of like the most attractive people that you'll meet
Yeah.
that are still, you need to qualify and have the same level that you would in the US, but you now just have access to them. As opposed to in the States, you might have to do more, like fly them out or really provide an extravagant experience. Another thing, because the prices are so much lower here, you can actually provide top level experiences at a fraction of the price. So it's like you can go to a
Yeah,
best
that's a good
restaurant in
point.
Medellin, have a 2-person date, walk out with it being less than $100. Where if you were to do that in Miami,
Yo, phew.
$700, $800 dinner, and then an Uber is going to be $60, $70, depending if you get them an Uber Black or not, right? Here you can orchestrate all of that at like a reasonable rate. Now I think the most expensive dinner that I had was like 2 million pesos or something, or $1.5 million pesos, something
Yeah.
like that. So, but that was for a couple people. That was for 4 people. I brought my friend and she brought her friend. So, but how do you enter?
Yeah,
I mean, the beginners will use the dating apps, and there's good stuff to be had in the dating apps, but it's still just as unreliable in the States. You'll get a lot more matches, and you'll be able to navigate. And don't get me wrong, it's better than what you'll get in the US, but you're still going to deal with the BS if you need to be active on that platform because there's an algorithm that's gaming you and gaming everybody.
yeah, exactly.
So, but if you get and also more of the sketchy stuff goes down in the dating apps because those profiles are temporary and the phone numbers can all be temporary. More mid-tier, people that really understand it or get it will use Instagram, and that might just be existing on Instagram or cold DMing on Instagram. If you come here, they'll pick up your IP or your geo, and so recommended accounts will immediately change to things you might be interested in. And then if you want to take that to a step further, then you've got running boosted posts, so just post on your Instagram that you actually boost. And then the highest level that I've cracked that I got to stop telling people about because
Yeah,
it's not going to
yeah.
work anymore. But just full on ads. If you're a direct response marketer, crack open the actual Facebook ad platform and then run a campaign. There's a lot that goes into getting that to work properly. Don't think just because you run a campaign, it will work for
Yeah,
you.
that's true.
You
That's
need to
true.
be a marketer and really orchestrate it. But if you get that to pop, man, you'll get results like you've never thought were possible. Like that actually is kind of what threw me in a black hole for a few. Is I was just like, oh my god, this is a hack to the matrix to have
Yeah.
this. Um,
Yeah, I remember. I mean, I heard about these boosting posts and before,
mhm,
and I tried it a couple of years ago, but simple, and it kind of worked. But I didn't really do it like
mhm,
specifically, or let's say with some kind of strategy.
yeah,
But then when you, I mean, maybe you remember the one night we met. I think the
yeah,
first time when we met,
yeah.
you
That was the
kind of
first thing I
told us
showed you. Yeah,
about. Caleb told me about this whole Instagram, Facebook
yeah,
ads, and I tried it out, and it worked pretty well.
yeah,
But there are a few things, like you said, you need to also first of all the ad itself, and then your profile. Then we talk also about personal branding kind of stuff. If
yeah,
you don't have, let's say, a cool Instagram, I would say
yeah.
it also won't help you.
Yeah, first thing I actually did when I came to Medellin was actually develop my Instagram. Not only I think just for dating, but just to have. I feel like in the States it was a bit more work to orchestrate. In Medellin, like even this place we're in right now, there's so many beautiful, well architected places. You can just go get a
Yeah,
moment, set up a camera,
exactly.
take high quality photos, pay some guy in Fiverr to just color grade them for you and get them all to match, and then upload them. So I did that quite a bit. That's when I first built up my Instagram. That was working really well for me. Most of my photos on my Instagram are from Medellin when I was here. I got to take some new ones, but I think there's a certain status you get your page to where I'd say you enter the bottom of the elite, where it's like, okay, you'll get the attention of the upper, the upper of what's available here. You might not be their top pick, but even if you don't have a million followers or any sort of special status or thing that you're known for, you still qualify. They'll still respond to you. They'll still go out with you, things like that. I've actually kind of my theory or my mindset around it has kind of like shifted. There's an element of wanting
Hmm.
to have a certain level of social status to where if you have a huge follower count, like we think that's attractive. But honestly, I've kind of concluded that the women still think the same way the men do, where it's like you see a guy with a huge follower count and all this stuff, you're
Could be a
like,
red
well,
flag.
yeah. It's the same way that I feel when I look at an Instagram account, where it's like, oh, if they're following like 4,000 people, have got 30,000 followers, I'm like, yeah, do I want to enter that world? And I have, and just know that definitely brings more problems than that person who just has a well-made Instagram that is down to earth, maybe a couple thousand followers, following a couple hundred people. That I found has been way higher quality and way better.
Mhm.
Another ninja tactic is just go to the followers of, like, find someone that you like, look at who they're following, and usually they have friends, and so you can just cold DM, and you get a pretty decent response rate off of that.
Yeah, just going down the Instagram, how can you say, Instagram hole,
Yep.
probably, then
Yep.
seeing, okay, who's following who. And it's the same when you also do your research on good places. You can see, okay, who is tagged in these places,
Yep.
which places do you want to go, which are the high quality places,
Mhm.
what kind of people are going there. So you can do a lot of research on Instagram in order to find out which are the places to go,
Yeah.
or which kind of people you want to meet. I mean, if you go to a rock place and a lot of people are tagged that you like this, you go to this place.
Yeah.
But if you are in these models, Instagram or whatever,
Mhm.
you kind of see where they are tagged, what's in. I
Yeah.
mean, that's like that gives you a good idea. Okay, what's going on in a city, especially if you are new into a city.
Yeah.
And also then you want to connect with certain people. That Instagram will help you a lot.
Yeah.
And then if you go into personal branding, you should at least have like a basic level of like a presentable Instagram,
Yeah.
that people, when they go through a profile, see that you are not a complete idiot.
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
say, and this, like you said, this already will help you to elevate your status.
Yeah.
And then you can also then easier meet people. And when you meet people, you can exchange your Instagram.
Yep.
You can even then after this, they look at you. Okay, that's actually a cool guy I just
Yeah.
met.
I think a big thing I would say is follow the guys before you follow the girls, because as you're going through navigating the dating scene here, you want to know who's close to who or who knows what, because like if I find a girl and I see that Jillian's following her, I've had that happen a couple times. I haven't told you about it. Just immediately on to the next one. So it's like follow the guys before you follow the girls, and so that way you don't, cross paths in ways that you might not like with people. I've had that happen. Yeah, I'd say probably that's the biggest one that I've learned. And then the followers of the people that you like. Someone with a low follower count is picky about who they followed. So it's like, just think about it as curated lists. Like, you can run an ad and get all the traffic in the world, and that's great. But once more, the quality is going to be hit or miss. You can go to the account of somebody and look at who they're curated, the account of your favorite of them, who they've curated, your account, who's the favorite of them. That rabbit hole does not end. It does not end. Like, I've done that for like 30 minutes to an hour once. You send out a bunch of messages, wait for your responses. And then, you just have so much abundance here. So it's truly mind-blowing, I would say.
Yeah.
But be careful. If you get an acquired taste, you start to really like caviar, then it's like, shoot, and you got to pay the price every time you want caviar. So.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, the one part is the social media, the internet. But on the other part is also when you're actually then meeting the people, how to be, let's say, how to behave or how to be social. It can be in a dating context, but it can also be like just in a networking context in order to know, okay, how to socialize with people.
Yeah.
You are very extroverted, you say, but did you ever had, let's say, any problem to, approach people, talk to them?
Yeah.
Or is there any, like, when you are completely new, it's easy for you to approach people in general?
Yeah, and you say in a dating context or just professional or both?
Yeah, it can be both.
Yeah, in a dating context, I would say this is probably the most approachable place I've ever been. If they will show up to a date with you, you're going to have a pretty easy time as far as getting to meet them. Now, that doesn't mean that they're going to be down for everything that you want to do, but as far as just social comfort and being there and relaxed and in the moment, without a doubt, it's a cakewalk. I will say, though, because of that, you have to become a very astute judge of character. I think another thing, too, is if you're coming from a first world country, especially the States, we have a very different culture and, like, standard to which we feel like we need to provide and, like, show face. You can water that down a lot and still get really good results. And I think that's one trap I put myself in, is I'm so used to what I feel like I would need to want to show to something that I'll provide maybe more of an experience than I need. And then you anchor yourself to that. Like, I remember I had one time that I had a date with a girl she's attractive, but she was not like, 10 out of 10, but fine, mind you. And I really wanted to go to a really nice place because I wanted to go and enjoy it. And so I brought her with me, and she wanted to bring her friends. I was like, fine, once more, the bills aren't that much. But then after that, just this image of me only going to elite places could not get taken out of her mind. And then after the fact, I wanted to go to someplace normal, and she's like, oh, I don't want to go there. And you'll find people too here that are, you kind of are what you attract, or you attract what you are. So I would say, like, the moment that my standards have changed in the character that I look for and what I vet for, the moment that I'm going through that right now, a huge shift in just what my actual character standards are. I think I was very lustful and just, what if the packaging looks good, I would take it. But I've realized that, like, that'll get you burned a lot. Like, there's definitely incredible women here that have also incredible character. There's also some that have incredible beauty and, like, no character and are, like, super shallow. So
you are trying to screen more the people, kind of see, okay, or let's say especially girls, who are they actually, instead of just focus on the beauty itself.
Yeah, and I think that this is probably a skill or an idea that I'm sure that you understand it more because you've got many years on me, but I've only learned it recently because I was still in the mindset of just I've dated the most beautiful woman I've ever dated in my life since I've come here. And so the first time you have an experience where you're like, is this real? Like, this is actually real? But once you get accustomed to it and acclimated to it, you kind of relax in it more, and you're like, okay, like, great, like, you're pretty and all that, but it's like, could you help me with this? Could you do that? Could you bring me this? Or even in your place, like, make the bed afterwards, things like that. And you find that some people just really don't have character, and they have a life that they've been catered to. Another thing with the follower counts is a pro tip that I would say is just don't compete with competition. Don't compete with people that have competition. If someone's got X amount of followers, just know that that's all your competition. Someone's got 500 followers or 1,000 followers, that's your competition. If they're following like 5 people, that's really your competition. So it's like, if you want it to be easy, make it easy. If you want it to be hard, make it hard. And so I've got this business or masculine or entrepreneur edge of me where it's like, I like to compete, and so I realize that I make it harder for myself than I need to, as opposed to just like dumb it down a little bit. There's gorgeous women that are a little bit more work to find, but then once you find them, they're like yours. Like, I've got one right now that I'm talking to who's like clean, sweet as can be. I'm actually kind of like shocked myself. And
you're trying to find like the needle or something.
Yeah,
kind of see, but you don't find it.
Yeah.
But I think that's a good situation to be in.
Yeah. So it was definitely been a really big self exploration coming here, and I'll be going back to the States in not too long. I will not end my time here forever, but go back there for a few months. And so I'm interested to go back with the experience that I have now. It's I think that I just always have I'm not satisfied with like who I am and what I have, and so that will definitely play. That'll project itself a lot of the time where you're going above and beyond because you think you're making somebody else happy. It's really you're just trying to say that, oh, I feel good because I'm the kind of person that can provide this, but they don't even need that to be happy.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, let's have some final takeaways and advice. What's one networking tip everybody should, let's say, need to do or need to know about
For
in
living
order
in
to
Medellín?
implement? Yeah, it can be Medellin or also in general.
Yeah. Take a day, go on Google Maps. If there's something that you like to do that's like a hobby, find all the places that can provide the experience of that hobby and then try them all. And then find your favorite. And you'll have the stories from the places that you've tried. You'll have something to talk about. I have a list in my phone of all the restaurants that I wanted to try, and I'll like screenshot it and X them off sometimes. And that's like a phenomenal conversation over a conversation starter. If you're very career focused and you're not like, I've been there where I'm so isolated and only in my own world that there's nothing relatable about me to other people. I don't have anything to talk about as far as small talk. Just want to talk about business. That's fine. I think that's a state that you need to go through, and that's when you get a lot of things done. If you meet someone who's not like an entrepreneur and you're just trying to like relax and have fun, you need to have more things that you have in common. So to talk about food or experiences or places, that works really well. So make a list of all the things that you like, or find something that you like. I liked food or restaurants that provided really great sweets. Find all the places that provide great sweets. Make it a point to check them all out. Take photos, post that. You'll cultivate a lifestyle and an image really passively by just going and doing things that you enjoy, and then you can double back with the people that you want to share those experiences with. So that's what I would say. That's the fastest way to develop an Instagram. Most of my Instagram was like, I have a ton of stories of me out at restaurants, and so if a girl sees my profile, it's like, oh, this guy's got a life. But it was like, I was just on a span of wanting to try cool places and documenting it. So, and you don't even have to be, don't think that you need to like bring a tripod and be really like, make it easy. Just like go there, order something you think is cool, take a video of it, and then it adds up. It really does add up. My 2024 highlight, I can't even put more stuff in. My 2025 is full. Like, And I remember I was going to restaurants and I was like, saved a highlight. It's like, you've got no more space in here. I'm like, what? But that's also great because then you can go through and just strip out the things that are all mid, and then all you have is one banger highlight. And that's really most of what you need. If you've got like decent photos and a bunch of cool highlights, you're a person.
Yeah, perfect. So that's like a huge networking tip, which also goes into the dating perspective. Or is there anything, let's say, one major tip about dating you would say?
The follower count is your competition. Realize that someone's got a higher follower count or is following higher amount of people is a very different kind of person than someone who's not following many people and has a low follower count. That's like a very simple one that I thought I should have known it sooner, but I'm realizing it's like that's everything. If they're like, and then not saying that you need to go to this extent, but like another thing that I've observed is if you look at who they're following and you see like the other guys, there's a style or a vibe that they happen to all have in common. If you mirror that or you fall in that, you understand why they like you. So
that's a pretty powerful hack.
Yeah.
That's pretty advanced.
Yeah.
To be honest, but it's that's definitely one.
There's one girl I dated for 3 months that was like, I don't understand. Like I really didn't understand. Like I think she was attracted to me and she was there, but I was like, it was clear that there was something off in the dynamic, and so I looked at all the people she was following, and I just like collected a bunch of the accounts of the guys. There was a clear aesthetic. It was like Italian guys with tattoos and just like kind of edgy things, and so I like when we'd go to our dates, I just changed my style a little bit, and I got slightly different response.
So you made the Italian, or you just ordered pizza and pasta on your dates.
So. But that worked. But once more, it's like don't sacrifice who you are in trying to please somebody else. But if you also realize that you fit the build, then you've got someone who's actually authentically attracted to you. And so if you're that oddball, they're there for other reasons. If you fit in that mold, they're there for authentic reasons.
Exactly. So we had a lot of insights today. Thank you very much, Kaleb. So where can people find you, or how can they connect with you if they want to know more about you?
Yeah. So if you Google me, Kaleb McCullough, Kaleb, Kaleb with a K, Kaleb, McCullough on Google, you'll find my Instagram and YouTube and maybe my LinkedIn. My Instagram is Kaleb Y McCullough, spelled the same way as before. Follow me there. That's the best place if you're watching this. And then I got a bunch of other resources. If you go to my Instagram, all my other stuff is linked there, so you'll be able to find your way around.
Perfect. Beautiful. Then, thank you very much.
Yeah, no, it was a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, there will be more to come for One Social Life. We will talk a lot about different concepts, networking, dating, how to create meaningful connections when you travel, or even when you are already into a city and you want to grow your social network. That's what we're talking about. We have also a community freshly launched with a networking course.
Yeah.
And we also cover the dating topics. A lot of guys just want to go out there and date. Welcome to join.
Yeah, and I would say, I mean, you're very humble too, and not playing yourself up. But I'd say, like, Julian is, you're a master as far as knowing this stuff. I mean, I think your power is that you're so humble about it. But you bring Julian to a social environment and just start asking questions about like game and situation scenarios. There's not an answer that he doesn't have. So without a doubt, definitely check out his stuff.
Thank you.
Sweet.